Breaking news! A move that almost didn't happen, a grievance filed, a contract signed just in time, and a key piece of the Ravens' future locked in, all in a matter of hours. But what really happened behind the scenes? And did the Ravens just outsmart the entire league? Or are they scrambling to cover something much bigger? Trust me, this story goes deeper than you think. But before we break it all down, make sure you hit that like button if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting this team. And if you feel like it, drop a comment below and rep the flock. Type Go Ravens, so we know you're riding with us through it all. Now let's get into exactly why this deal with Travis Jones may have saved more than just the defensive line. It might have saved the Ravens offseason. Alright, let's get into it. The Baltimore Ravens have signed interior defensive lineman Travis Jones to a 3-year extension worth $40.5 million. That breaks down to $13.5 million per year, a number that raised eyebrows immediately. Not because it was high, but because it was shockingly low, especially when you consider this was supposed to be Jones' contract year. Every sign pointed toward him hitting free agency in March. So how did the Ravens keep one of their key defensive linemen for such a bargain? That's where things get tricky. At first glance, it looked like the Ravens somehow convinced Jones to take a hometown discount. But then came the real story, one that involves the NFLPA, a grievance, and some clever maneuvering by Baltimore's front office. According to Jeff Zrebiec, Jones wasn't actually on track to become an unrestricted free agent after this season. Due to a quirk in the collective bargaining agreement, he didn't receive an accrued season earlier in his rookie deal, leaving him with only 3. That would have made him a restricted free agent, not unrestricted, meaning the Ravens could have slapped a second-round tender on him for around $6 million and locked him in that way. But before the NFLPA grievance, filed on Jones' behalf against both the league and the Ravens, could even be heard, Baltimore acted fast. His agent, Jared Fox, and the team hammered out a deal just hours before the scheduled hearing. Once the ink was dry, the grievance was dropped. Just like that, the Ravens avoided what could have become a messy dispute and locked down a high-upside defensive lineman for 3 more seasons. And let's not get it twisted, this wasn't some desperate overpay or sentimental signing. This is a calculated, strategic move by Eric DeCosta, especially with the current uncertainty swirling around the defensive line. Let's start with the obvious, the Mattabike mystery. His status remains clouded in secrecy. Every time Harbaugh is asked about it, he dodges. Rumors of retirement, Reddit posts, and vague "we'll address it later" statements have only deepened the concern. Losing Mattabike would be massive, and after already saying goodbye to Broderick Washington and Michael Pierce in recent off-seasons, the Ravens had to get ahead of another potential loss. Travis Jones was the obvious answer. This extension isn't just about filling a gap, it's about preserving identity. The Ravens are a trench-first team. That DNA runs deep. Losing too many foundational pieces up front without proper replacements is how you slip from elite to average overnight. Locking up Jones ensures they keep a disruptive presence who excels in both the run game and as a pass rusher. He eats up double teams, clogs lanes, and opens up opportunities for the linebackers and edge rushers to thrive. You can't replace that easily. And what makes Jones even more valuable is that he's not scheme dependent. Whether John Harbaugh is still in Baltimore next year or not, whether there's a shift in defensive philosophy or a new coordinator steps in, Jones fits. He's the kind of player who transcends scheme, and that's rare. It also sends a strong message from the front office. After years of being accused of letting defensive talent walk or waiting too long to re-sign foundational players, this move shows some foresight. This isn't reactionary. This is building for sustainability. Yes, it doesn't fix every problem. There's still serious work to be done on the defensive line. You need another impact player alongside Jones. You need help on the edge. But this is the first brick, and it's a strong one. Or is it something else entirely? Because the implications of this deal stretch far beyond the contract numbers. Let's look at the ripple effect it might have on the rest of the roster, and even on the leadership dynamics in Baltimore. First, let's talk about the future of this defensive unit. If the Ravens are moving forward without Justin Mattabike, which at this point, all signs seem to suggest, then Travis Jones becomes more than just a cog in the machine. He becomes the centerpiece of the defensive line. And that changes everything. Because now, he's not just expected to hold his ground or eat up double teams. Now he has to lead. He has to anchor a line that's been gutted of veteran presence over the last 2 seasons. That's a huge responsibility for a player entering just his 4th year. But based on his production and impact when healthy, it's not a stretch to think he can handle it. Jones has consistently been a difference maker. When he's on the field, the defense clicks. When he's off, you feel it. The run defense becomes softer, the interior pressure vanishes, and suddenly quarterbacks have too much time in the pocket. That's the kind of impact player you must build around. And that's what this extension does, it builds around him. Now here's another layer. This move gives the Ravens flexibility not just financially, but strategically. By locking in Jones at a reasonable number, it allows them to spend elsewhere, namely, at edge rusher, where the team has lacked a true game-changing presence for years. Travis Jones can't do it all alone, and this extension makes it more realistic for Baltimore to go big in free agency or the draft to get a dominant edge to pair with him. But we also need to talk about the timing of this move. The Ravens didn't wait for free agency. They didn't let another team set the market. They got ahead of the NFLPA grievance. They got ahead of speculation. They got ahead of the media. This was a proactive move in an offseason where, let's be honest, the team has to be aggressive. And maybe, just maybe, it signals a shift in mentality from the front office, a sign that they're finally learning to value continuity and early commitment over letting talent hit the open market. Still, there are fans who remain skeptical. Some question whether Travis Jones has truly proven it yet. Others point to his injury history or the fact that he's never had that one breakout season with double-digit sacks. But those people might be missing the bigger picture. This isn't about stats. This is about impact. This is about presence. And this is about what happens to the defense when he's not out there. We also can't ignore the locker room dynamics. A move like this sends a message to the rest of the team and to future draft picks that if you produce, if you do your job, if you commit to the team, Baltimore will take care of you. That matters, especially in a year where tensions have been bubbling just beneath the surface. Whether it's on the offensive line, in the secondary, or even in the coaching staff, the pressure is building. And this deal might be a small step towards settling some of those waters. But let's not pretend this move fixes everything. The Ravens still have major decisions to make. What happens with Roquan Smith, the linebacker who arrived with so much fanfare but now finds himself as a possible trade candidate in the offseason? What about Isaiah Likely, Rashad Bateman, and other 2022 draft class members whose futures are murky at best? And can the Ravens front office, which has been accused of prioritizing safe over explosive, finally build a team that's more than just solid? We've seen flashes, but flashes don't win Super Bowls. Depth wins. Explosiveness wins. Adaptability wins. And yes, smart, calculated contracts like this one do help win. But this can't be the only big move of the offseason. And here's where things get really interesting. Because while the Travis Jones extension is a strong, forward-thinking move, especially when you factor in the value, the timing, and the need, it also subtly exposes a deeper truth about the current state of the Ravens roster. They're being held together by patches and promises. Think about it. You lose Broderick Washington. Michael Pierce walks. Matabike's situation is shrouded in silence and rumors. Suddenly, the defensive front that was once considered one of the deepest units on the roster is fragile. Travis Jones, he becomes your stabilizer, your insurance policy, and your future. But how did it even get to this point? This extension shines a light on how much more work the front office still has to do. Because locking up one talented lineman isn't enough, not when the rest of the unit is crumbling or uncertain. You still need to draft well. You still need to land a pass rusher who can actually tilt the field. You still need a consistent rotational presence to keep Jones fresh and productive all year long. And then there's the offense. The trenches have been inconsistent, especially at guard, with rotation issues and questionable decisions on who starts and who sits. Fans are watching Lamar Jackson take hit after hit, wondering why a franchise quarterback is being left to operate behind a line that just doesn't hold up. The offensive line desperately needs investment, not just in bodies, but in development. Because right now, players like Daniel Falale are getting opportunities that many feel aren't deserved based on performance, yet the team seems unwilling to make changes. The disconnect between what's obvious to fans and what decisions are actually made in Owings Mills has become a recurring frustration. Talent mismanagement, stagnant rotations, predictable play calling. And while the Travis Jones signing is a win, no question, fans know it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle that has yet to be solved. Still, this move represents something hopeful. It tells us the front office is aware of the growing concerns and that they're capable of decisive, impactful action. But this can't be the end. It needs to be the beginning. A new wave of decisions that prioritize strength, depth, and dynamism across both lines. Because this team has too much potential, too much talent, and